Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today's video is about Saudi Arabia's fight against terrorism. Unfortunately, some people in the media unfairly associate this wonderful country, the country where two Muslim shrines, Mecca and Medina, are located, associated with terrorism, while in reality, Saudi Arabia, being a leader in the Arab world, is fighting these criminals and making the greatest efforts in the fight against terrorism. And note that I said in the fight against terrorism, and I didn't say in the fight against Islamic terrorism, as they often write it in the media, because the very concept of terrorism means violence for the purpose of intimidation. And to associate Islam with violence for the purpose of intimidation would be absolutely unfair. Islam has nothing to do with terrorism. So, Saudi Arabia is the largest state on the Arabian Peninsula. It borders on Jordan, Iraq, and Kuwait to the north, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates to the east, Oman to the southeast, and Yemen to the south. Today, Saudi is the world leader in the fight against terrorism, and on this path, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has taken a tough stance towards people who belong to or even sympathize with terrorist organizations, implemented tight control over the funding of the organizations to avoid financing terrorism. Also, officials and religious scholars of Saudi Arabia have been publicly and uncompromisingly condemning terrorism for many years and warning people against this evil. And in order for this fight against terrorism to take on practical meaning, in 2015, Saudi Arabia created a coalition against terrorism, which initially included 34 countries, then the number of participants grew to 41 countries. In total, the coalition countries have the following forces: 4 million active soldiers, 5 million in reserve, 2,500 combat aircraft, 21,000 tanks, 44,000 combat vehicles. The creation of this coalition was initiated by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed ibn Salman. At the same time, he said, the biggest threat of terrorism and extremism is not only the killing of innocent people and the spread of hatred, but also insulting the reputation of our religion and distorting our faith. One of the main reasons for the creation of this coalition was the strengthening of terrorist organizations and the commission of terrorist attacks in Islamic countries. So these organizations, under the slogan "In the name of Islam," organize terrorist acts in Islamic countries against Muslims. Paradox, isn't it? For example, in 2019, Saudi Arabian embassy report says Saudi Arabia is the main target of Daesh and other terror groups because it's the birthplace of Islam and home to the two holy mosques. Saudi Arabia continues to expand and intensify its counter-terrorism initiatives as terrorism remains a major threat to the safety and security of our citizens and the global community. Saudi Arabia has faced more than 60 terrorist attacks by Daesh and Al-Qaeda, more than 25 of them since 2015. More than 200 citizens and policemen have been killed in terrorist attacks. There has been a significant increase in the rhetoric against the Saudi government by Daesh activists in social media networks. Indeed, Saudi Arabia was the first to bear the brunt of terrorism even before it became a global problem. In 1979, these terrorists seized the forbidden mosque in Mecca, took thousands of Muslims hostage, and shed the blood of innocent people. The operation against them lasted 2 weeks, during which more than 2,500 people died and more than 400 were wounded. And these people claimed to be in Islam while shedding the blood of Muslims in the most sacred place on earth for Muslims, in the forbidden mosque of Mecca. There is no limit to their delusion. Unfortunately, these people still exist today. For example, such people in 2016 tried to attack the Prophet's mosque in the holy city of Medina. The bombing killed the suicide bomber and 4 members of the security forces. 5 policemen were injured. And these terrorist attacks against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia continue today. For example, just 2 months ago, the Yemeni Houthi launched rockets into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia oil storage facilities in Jeddah. As a result, there was a big fire and economic damage was caused. Now I want to give you some quotes from top Saudi officials regarding terrorists. Here is what King Salman ibn Abdulaziz says: "The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is determined, God willing, to strike with an iron fist those who target the minds and attitudes of our youth." His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed ibn Salman says, "We will not allow terrorists to distort our peaceful religion. Today we are sending a strong message that we are working together to fight terrorism. Today we affirm that we will pursue terrorism until it's eradicated completely." Sheikh Khalid, Imam of the Grand Mosque in Mecca, says, "The greatest and most appalling of all sins is for anyone to deliberately and premeditatedly shed the blood of innocent people, wreak chaos and havoc, and undermine security and stability in order to achieve the evil goals of criminal gangs and sectarian terrorist organizations." And some people who take a superficial look at this global problem claim that all this terrorism that we see today was supported by the government of Saudi Arabia, and they cite the notorious terrorist Osama bin Laden as an example, pointing out that he was a citizen of Saudi Arabia. Firstly, this statement is absurd. The government of Saudi Arabia has always fought against international terrorism and hasn't had any benefits from supporting terrorism. Secondly, regarding Osama bin Laden, if you look at the official information, then you will see that the authorities of Saudi Arabia stripped him of his citizenship back in 1992, 9 years before the events of September 11, 2001, when it became clear that he was an international criminal and an enemy of Islam. Also, Saudi Arabia has opened a rehabilitation center for people who are infected with these ideas of terrorism, incorrectly considering these actions as jihad in the path of Allah. This center was opened in 2007. The detainees stay in the center for up to 6 months. However, if after 3 months there are no clear signs of recovery, they are sent back to prison and answer to the judicial system. As of 2017, the program took stock and claimed to have reformed over 3,300 men convicted of terrorism-related offenses with an 86% success rate. This success rate was measured by the number of convicts who did not return to terrorism for at least 10 years after the end of the center's program. And finally, since I'm a student of the Islamic University of Madinah in Saudi Arabia, I want to mention that our university is in full solidarity with the state policy on combating terrorism, and as I reported in a documentary about the university, has zero tolerance for students who support these ideas of extremism and terrorism. Such students will be immediately expelled and deported from the country. Well, that's all. I hope you have benefited from this video that I've prepared for you. If you want to know more about life in Saudi Arabia and in particular about what educational opportunities you can get here, then subscribe to this channel. وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.